It's really a blur, honestly.
Was probably one of the scariest moments of my life.
Just the faces of our patients always will be in my mind of how terrified they were.
You never really know what a team is going to do until you stress it. I mean, really stress it, and it gelled.
Somebody asked me, what were you thinking during that time? Were you scared? And I wasn't. I was more focused on our patients and making them feel safe so that they wouldn't be afraid for their life.
The days leading up to Hurricane Michael were really uneventful. We were told that we were going to have a hurricane hit the coast, and most Floridians who've actually lived through many of those hurricanes thought it was just going to be a typical hurricane Category 2, Category 3.
Friday before the storm, we started our preparations at the facility.
It was a lot of disaster preparedness, making sure that we had our A teams and B teams set up.
It really wasn't until Tuesday that it started to become even more clear that this storm was going to be a significant weather event. With the support of HCA, our planning and preparations ratcheted up.
It was proactive rather than reactive. They had an extra 2 megawatt big Caterpillar diesel tractor trailer mounted generator. We were ready for it as we could be.
What we know now is that it was Category 5 winds.
Before the peak of the storm, we did make the decision to move all the patients into the interior hallways of the building.
Couldn't see much looking out the ambulance bay doors, but we could hear it. Things failing and breaking and splintering. It was pretty fearsome.
Windows were being shattered and walls were shaking, roofs were shaking.
We made the decision to evacuate the 3rd floor, and I think we moved them all off the floor within about 30 minutes. It was all hands on deck at that point.
Even if they had worked the night shift, people were just pitching in.
As expected, we did lose our power, but we had the generator in place to resume normal power. We lost our water utilities, and they used the water tankers that HCA provided for us to give us clean water in the building.
There were a few babies that were delivered, yes, during the storm. Those families were so grateful that we were here and able to get them delivered.
As the storm continued to progress, the wind speed started to die down. It allowed us to be able to assess some of the damage.
We sustained enough damage to the inpatient side of the hospital that we had to evacuate.
Our HCA corporate team in Nashville was already mobilizing contractors and support to be here.
The hospital, as near as I could tell, literally spared no expense. They brought in airlift, they brought in ambulances, they brought in additional personnel. My nurses and I were out clearing off the parking lots with pickup trucks and tow straps to make additional landing zones. We had 4 birds on the pad loading patients, and we had 2 more circling coming into land. It was a fairly impressive logistical effort.
We had about 139 patients that we were going to evacuate to sister facilities. That process continued all night Thursday night and into Friday morning until we completed the evacuation of Gulf Coast Regional. We all have that sense of responsibility about what we do as a profession, but it's important to remember that we also have lives outside of the building. And there were many of us that experienced damage from the storm or had worry about our family that may have still been here in the community.
Their homes, a lot of them were destroyed, but their responsibility was to take care of their patients, and that's what they were committed to do. And to me, that's what is so important about what we do. It's comforting those that are around us and caring for those individuals in that time of need. And that's why I'm committed to care.